Well, hi there. Warm welcome. You're watching Times Now's Decoding Now, and I'm Meghna Deka. You're watching Times Now, and we are bringing you this live broadcast from the LIC Housing Finance Limited studio. So let's begin. Well, it's been 2 years since the Hema committee report was made public. It exposed the dirty, rotten underbelly of Malayalam cinema mafia. It blew the whistle on the rampant sexual harassment and how sexual favors became the entry ticket for cinema. It's called for an end to sleaze, sexism, and the systematic rot which had crept in. But as the wheels of reform turned, the first visible change was in 2025, when the AMMA, the Association of Malayalam Movie Artists, elected 4 women at its helm. There was at the time a hope for reform, a real reform and a reset in Mollywood. But 1 year later, it feels like reform is running in reverse. The entire top women leadership of AMMA, and this includes Shwetha Menon, has actually stepped down. It's triggered off fresh questions about accountability, about representation, about representative action, real change in Mollywood. Is this just an internal shake-up which is happening inside AMMA, or a major setback to the entire reform movement itself? From the collapse of AMMA's first ever all-woman leadership team to fears that the old hierarchies remain firmly in place, we decode what these resignations mean, who loses, and whether the promise of post-Hema committee report reform is now fading very fast. But first, let's take you back to the moment when the Hema committee report was made public. It was in 2024 after an RTI query. The landmark Hema committee report was finally released after years of delay after delay kept happening. Its findings sent shockwaves through the Malayalam film industry. It exposed the deep-rooted concerns and reignited calls for accountability and for reform. But why? Let's explain what some of the salient revelations were. It said that sexual harassment was rampant and remains unchecked in the Mollywood, which is the Malayalam film industry. It went on to say that sexual demands were made for entry into cinema of Malayalam films. That torture would happen if women unwilling to give into these sexual demands by the men who were there. That there is a threat to life if a woman speaks out in the industry. That women speaking out are subjected to online threats as well as bullying. That some women do adjust. Their mothers believe that there is nothing wrong in it. That even mothers were pushing their daughters into it. In fact, the posh committee wouldn't work. Since the industry is completely male-dominated, even a posh committee is not likely to work. It went on to say that there is a mafia that no one can possibly dare utter a word against, and that is operational. And that there are individuals who are illegally banned by a few of these people who are influential in the industry. So a mafia which is running rampant. And finally, the 10th revelation is that there is a denial of basic facilities such as toilets and even changing room for women artists. This is the reality which came back to bite. In fact, many of the reforms which are proposed by the Hema committee appear to have either stalled or never fully implemented. Let's tell you what it said. It talked about an industry-wide enforcement mechanism. This was not implemented. It talked about a compliance system on movie sets, that if there is any issue with compliance, there were complaints which could be registered immediately on the set itself. And this was never implemented. The third suggestion, and this is the most interesting one, is that the Hema committee report had said there must be representation of women in positions of leadership, which would have been an organization like AMMA. That did happen initially, but only for a year. That is exactly what we are going to be talking about. The crumbling of the entire woman leadership of AMMA, why that happened and what it means. Well, the current crisis is only the latest chapter in a long history that we've seen of controversies that have really shaken Mollywood. Several high-profile actors, directors, industry figures, they've all faced serious allegations over the years. Let's remind you some of these. Remember, Ranjit, the director, the kind of allegations which were made against him. In 2026, there was a charge of sexual abuse bid by him, and for this, he was sent to judicial custody in February earlier this year. Then you have Siddiq, the actor. He also faced charges of sexual abuse. The survivor in this case was Revati Sampath. In fact, in this case, there was an FIR which was filed in the year 2024. There's also Riaz Khan, an actor. There was a charge of sexual misconduct against him as well by the actor and survivor Revati Sampath. In this, there were no police complaints which were filed. But there were press conferences. There were several other complainants who came out and openly spoke about this. And that brings us to where the story stands today. The much heralded all-women leadership team at AMMA. Once it was projected as a symbol of change and a fresh start for the organization, for the entire Mollywood. And now it has slowly unraveled amidst a deepening internal crisis. What began as an effort to usher in reform, transparency and renewed confidence has ended in a dramatic fashion. The leadership completely collapsing with internal dissent. Let's tell you what it means. The biggest setback for this collapse is first, that the first all-woman AMMA team has crumbled. Second is that the lesser institutional presence for women would happen because of this. And also this is going to be a huge blow to the supporters of what many are calling a real reform, which was required but will not happen. It also crushes the hope of accountability, of transparency as well in Mollywood. And another setback is that it reinforces the established power structures within Mollywood, the mafia as it was labeled in the Hema committee report. Also, it shows that there is no real change which happened either in the mindset or a cultural shift as many had hoped would happen when the Hema committee report was made public. Let's now take you inside the meeting that ultimately triggered the mass exodus in AMMA. Well, what really happened? Here in the meeting, the members had questioned the missing audited accounts. So actors Babu Raj and Edavela Babu had flagged some of the account issues here. Transparency was under Shwetha's leadership. Shwetha Menon's leadership was questioned by these actors as well as others. And midway through the meeting, there was a no confidence motion which was raised by them. And as they were trying to move that no confidence motion, the entire executive committee resigned en masse. It was, of course, led by Shwetha Menon. All of them resigned, stepped down. In fact, now you have the former AMMA president, Shwetha Menon, has come out. She's very strongly come out against the association and the leadership and the functioning within it. And let's break down for you exactly what she had to say, because these are very interesting comments which have been made by the outgoing president. She says, "It is an honor for me to resign, resigning as an AMMA member immediately, and says I'm not going to be somebody's play doll. That is why I decided to step down. Our treasurer itself has gone absconding since the 1st of May. She also says that she was being blamed for the mistakes of the previous committee. In fact, listen in to what Shwetha Menon has to say yourself.
It's an honor for me to resign from AMMA association as a member. I'm not going to be somebody's play doll because we had no treasurer in our committee. We couldn't surface a proper accounts because our treasurer was absconding from 1st of May, as there was a woman case from us AMMA's association staff. We had to somehow still we pointed out all the mistakes and everything, but the main mistake was from the previous committee. Previous committee's accounts were all wrong because the dealings that time was more in cash, less in white money.
Well, as the crisis widens, both Shwetha Menon as well as the former Joint Secretary Ansiba Hassan have now made series of very serious claims. What exactly it is that they have said, let's explain to you. What Shwetha Menon, the former president who's now stepped down, said is that she faced a no confidence motion, which is why she had to step down. But also she had questioned the AMMA accounts, saying that before 1st of September, all the documentation was missing. She also said that there was an internal power struggle which was happening within AMMA, one of the reasons why she has quit down. Ansiba Hassan, what has she said? She was the former Joint Secretary. She has alleged that there was harassment within AMMA against her, claims that she had faced communal attacks herself. In fact, she also claims that the leadership offered no support to her at a time when she was being targeted for her religion. These are very serious charges. The big question, of course, is going to be, there was so much of hope that there is going to be some real reform at the end of the Hema committee report, but has that hope now slowly dwindled? Has it now gone into reverse gear? Let me put that question across to Avantika Shetty, is joining us, an actor. Shoaib Chaudhary is also joining us, TV and film producer. Thank you for joining us here on the show. It seems to be the, the undeniable truth, unfortunately. Shoaib Chaudhary, we've seen this happening in the past, and something that even Avantika has been talking about. She's fought about it. There are so many of the women who've come out. What does it really signal to the women who are actually fighting this uphill battle to have people like Shwetha now saying, I give up, I'm nobody's play doll. I myself will quit, and it's an honor to quit.
See, I mean, all these associations, whether in the South film industry or Hindi or anywhere else, all these associations were formed with the sole intent of helping the workers, working for a better, working conditions and, better studios and stuff, getting them better wages. But over a period of time, we have experienced in many cases that they just turn out to be, to become some political houses, they play in the hands of political parties and people playing politics up there. This is exactly what has happened in the Malayalam film industry right now, what we've seen. There were politics being played out, and there was a no confidence against Shwetha, and she had to resign. So, all these associations, in my personal opinion, need to be completely shut off because we don't need them. Anything that we need to do is through the legal course. If anything is going wrong, we need to have we must take the legal course of action on this.
But Shoaib Chaudhary, that's exactly what Avantika said. That if there are victims in this, and that's exactly the point that Avantika said, even if you're a victim, you may have won a case.
Discrepancies that
but at the end of it, it doesn't go anywhere. You'll not get a job anywhere. Isn't that, Avantika?
Yeah. The biggest thing is you have to be ready to risk your career. Because the moment you speak up for yourself, you are a troublemaker. You will be banned. All sorts of things will happen. So if you want to speak up, fight for things, then be ready to. No, sir, I'm telling you with my personal experience. And legal battles take time.
Legal battles take time, Shoaib Chaudhary, and as Avantika points out, no one, especially a fresher, does not want to put their career.
Just a second, can I speak?
Yes, go ahead.
Can I speak? That is how the law of the land functions. If there's a Me Too movement, if you've been harassed, the only way out is to go file an FIR and fight it out in the courts. That's the only way it should happen. You cannot just come up and say a line against any film producer or an actor or a fellow colleague and just walk away with it. What we have just seen here in Bollywood also, a TV actress blamed a producer of a very famous TV show here, Bhabhi Ji Ghar Pe Hai, whatever that name was. And 10 years later, she comes around saying that that case was a lie. So who do we believe in? I'm sorry, these kind of cases do put a question mark on the authenticity
Shoaib Chaudhary, you're right, there are question marks because of cases like this, but the Hema committee report, Justice Hema committee report is very categorical, and I can only speak right now to the Malayalam film industry, but there are similar instances. Avantika Shetty, how would you like to weigh in?
See, Mr. Shoaib's legal battles take time. When you're on a film set, a film has to be completed in a certain amount of time. And if in between you're busy doing those legal battles, then the producer also is going to suffer. So there has to be a committee which is going to address these things. And because of one actor who's told a lie, not everybody is a liar.
Producer is the only person who's suffering, ma'am, because he's the one who's creating finances, creating scripts, working on years of people.
An actor also suffers for speaking up.
Shoaib Chaudhary, any woman who's subjected to unwanted advances on a set is also suffering.
And financial losses.
Yes, there are financial losses. There's also loss to dignity and when it comes to untoward advances. Wouldn't you agree, Shoaib Chaudhary? That cannot be normalized.
I agree. This has been happening ever since, ever since the earth evolved, the humanity involved, these are the cases which is happening from day one.
So I'm glad you agree
the only way out
that
right now is to just file FIRs, take the legal route, whatever time it takes, or you fight against the government to expedite these cases. You fight against the government, get the government to expedite these cases. I mean,
and that is why you need pressure groups to be built to expedite this.
Ownership cases
if that happens, instead of case Tariq pe Tariq is what Avantika fears. And Shoaib says, look, we need to ensure that there is due diligence. What do you, the viewer, decide? Do you think reforms today have gone into reverse gear after the all-woman panel of the AMMA came into being and now has unfortunately collapsed? You, the viewer, can decide. Thank you so much, Avantika Shetty. Appreciate you joining us. It's not an easy fight for you, Shoaib Chaudhary. Appreciate you joining us to view your opinions. With that, we are moving on in the bulletin. There's some big breaking news which is coming in. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath is at the site of the unfortunate fire, the blaze we have seen in Aliganj area of Lucknow, where a massive fire had erupted earlier in the day. Remember, this was in a building which housed a coaching center as well as a library for students and also had a pet shop as well. And unfortunately, earlier we have seen how there was a huge blaze which unfortunately claimed the lives of 14 people. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath himself is there. He's been shown around. He's taking stock of the rescue relief operations. Now an update which is coming in, 15 people. That is the update coming in. 15 people have been killed in this blaze which has happened in Alipur of Lucknow. The Prime Minister's office has announced an ex gratia as well. And even as we speak, Yogi Adityanath, the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, is inspecting the rescue relief site. Unfortunately, instances such as this of fires, of infernos in the summer have been rising, be it in Delhi or all the way across in Lucknow. With that, we are going to be wrapping up Decoding Now. Thank you so much for watching.